What if a private habit, something millions of men do every day, was silently shaping your prostate health without you realizing it? What if some men claimed it helped them sleep better, ease their stress, and even prevented prostate problems, while others quietly worried it might throw their hormones off balance or trigger long-term damage? And what if the truth wasn't as black and white as we've been led to believe, but hidden in the biology you've never been told about? Hi there, I'm Dr. Nana, and welcome to Senior Health Boost, where we bring you evidence-based health strategies to stay strong, sharp, and confident after 40. Today, we're diving into a subject that might make some folks uncomfortable, but it's one that matters more than you think. Let's talk honestly about daily masturbation and its true impact on prostate health. Now, I get it, this isn't something you bring up over lunch. It's deeply personal. But whether it's spoken about or not, many men over 40 engage in this habit regularly. Some say it helps them relax, sleep better, and even believe it supports their reproductive health. Others aren't so sure. They worry it could be silently contributing to hormone disruption, congestion, or even inflammation in the prostate. So here's the question that lingers in the back of many men's minds. Could this daily habit be quietly harming my prostate over time? It feels like it should be a yes or no answer, right? But the truth is, this isn't a simple black and white issue. There are real, measurable biological changes happening inside your body when this habit becomes a part of your daily routine. Most men have never heard about these changes, and truthfully, many doctors rarely explain them clearly. To truly understand what's going on, we need to take a closer look at a small but powerful organ, the prostate gland. Roughly the size of a walnut, the prostate sits just below your bladder. But don't let its size fool you. This tiny gland plays a huge role in a man's health. It supports semen production, contributes to sexual function, affects urinary flow, and even impacts how comfortable your pelvic region feels throughout the day. When the prostate is healthy, you rarely notice it. But when it's swollen, congested, or inflamed, it can throw off your entire quality of life. Over the years, I've worked with hundreds of men experiencing nagging pressure in the lower abdomen, weak urine flow, or that frustrating feeling of needing to urinate right after they've just gone. Often, these symptoms build up gradually, barely noticeable at first. By the time they become disruptive, reversing the problem becomes much harder. That's why this video matters. Because we're going to take a clear, no-nonsense look at what happens inside your body when masturbation becomes a daily routine. Specifically, I'll walk you through 3 biological mechanisms that are directly impacted, and each one is backed by real clinical data and science, not myths or internet gossip. And make sure you stay tuned for the 3rd mechanism. Most men have never heard of it, but it could explain that chronic heaviness some guys feel in the pelvis, even when all their test results appear perfectly normal. So, if you're in your 40s, 50 seconds, or older, and you care about your long-term prostate health, stick with me. And hey, if you're new to Senior Health Boost, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is all about real talk, no fluff, no embarrassment, just straight up, practical advice to help you feel better and stay healthier as you age. Have a personal experience with this topic? Or a question you've always been too shy to ask? Drop it in the comments. You're not alone, and this community is built on open, respectful, honest conversations. Now, let's move beyond the mystery and into the science. Because if we want real answers, we have to look at what's happening inside the body, not just what society says is normal or taboo. In the last segment, we explored how a private habit, masturbation, can have very real effects on your prostate. And I mentioned 3 key biological responses we'll be diving into. But before we unpack those in detail, let me share a real-life case that brings all of this into perspective. Let me introduce you to David. David first walked into my office at the age of 65. He was a rugged, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy, a man who had spent over 4 decades working outdoors as a construction site supervisor in the unforgiving heat of Nevada. You could tell just by looking at him this was someone who didn't complain, didn't slow down, and didn't ask for help unless he absolutely had to. In fact, David was the type of man who prided himself on never missing a day of work, who pushed through colds, strains, and aches like they were just background noise. And doctors? He barely visited them, maybe once every few years for a checkup, if that. So, when he finally came to see me, it wasn't something he did lightly. He sat down across from me, leaned back in the chair, and said quietly, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore." There was no dramatic symptom, no urgent emergency, Just a quiet honesty in his voice, like a man who had finally run into a wall he couldn't push through. David went on to describe what had been happening over the past 2 or 3 years. Almost every night, he'd wake up multiple times to urinate 2, 3, even 4 times on bad nights. And every time, it felt like he couldn't quite empty his bladder fully. There was always this lingering pressure, this dull heaviness in his lower abdomen that seemed to hang around day and night. "It's not pain exactly," he told me, "more like a shadow. Just always there." He used to be vibrant, full of energy. The guy who'd wake up before dawn, head to the job site, and still have enough left in the tank to mow the lawn or fix the garage door. But now, he felt sluggish, easily irritated, slower to think, slower to move, slower to recover. And then he said something that really caught my attention. "Doc, it's like something inside me is just slowing down." When we got to the subject of sexual health and ejaculation, he hesitated. "That happens a lot. Men often find it awkward to talk about." David looked down for a moment, rubbed his palms together, and then finally said, "After I turned 55, I just figured that part of life was behind me. I stopped being sexually active. Even with my partner, it felt unnecessary, awkward." Then he added, "I haven't ejaculated in nearly 10 years. Let me be very clear, David's story is far from rare. So many men in their 50s, 60 seconds, and beyond begin to withdraw from sexual activity. Not because something's broken, not because of a diagnosed medical issue, but because of embarrassment, because of outdated cultural beliefs, because they've been silently conditioned to think that intimacy after a certain age is weird or inappropriate, that it's something we're supposed to outgrow. But let me tell you something, the body doesn't work on cultural timelines." So we ran a thorough checkup. I performed a full physical exam, followed by a detailed ultrasound of his prostate. What we found wasn't catastrophic, but it wasn't nothing either. His prostate was mildly enlarged. His PSA levels, prostate-specific antigen, were elevated beyond the normal range, and the texture of the prostate tissue showed subtle signs of low-grade inflammation and irregularity. Not cancer, not an emergency, but enough red flags to say, this needs attention. So we built a plan, and I mean a real, practical, doable plan. Nothing extreme, no invasive treatments, just small, consistent changes. First, I encouraged David to start incorporating light daily exercise, even just brisk walking in the morning. That alone can improve circulation to the pelvis. We also worked on hydration, adding a little more water throughout the day, especially earlier in the morning, to reduce the nighttime trips to the bathroom. Next came nutritional support. I recommended a few evidence-backed supplements that support prostate health, like saw palmetto, pygeum, and zinc. But the most surprising part of the plan? David committed to reintroducing regular ejaculation just once or twice a week, depending on how his body felt. I still remember the look on his face when I told him that. Eyebrows raised, like I'd just said something completely out of left field. "Really, Doc? That's part of the treatment?" Yes, it absolutely was. Because ejaculation isn't just about pleasure or intimacy, it plays a physiological role in prostate function. When done at a healthy rhythm, it can help prevent stagnation, reduce inflammation, and support hormonal balance. 4 months later, David returned for a follow-up, and the changes were remarkable. His PSA levels had dropped, not drastically, but enough to get him back into the normal range. His nighttime bathroom visits were cut in half. That heavy, dragging feeling in his abdomen? Gone. But even more powerful than the numbers on his lab report was the change in his presence. "I never thought something so simple could change how I feel physically and emotionally," he said. He stood taller. He looked people in the eye again. He walked with energy. And perhaps most importantly, he started talking about his health openly, without shame or hesitation. And that, right there, is what I want for every man watching this. David's journey is not unique. I see men like him all the time, guys in their 50s, 60 seconds, and even 70s, who either ignore this part of their health completely or are completely confused about what's actually normal. Some stop completely out of fear or misinformation. Others go to the opposite extreme and overdo it, thinking more must be better without giving their bodies the recovery time they need. So, naturally, the next question I hear from men is this: "Dr. Nana, how often should I actually be doing this?" That's a smart question, but also a tricky one, because the answer isn't the same for every man. There's no magic number. No golden rule that fits every age or every body. It all depends on your overall health, hormone levels, lifestyle, and how well your body bounces back after sexual activity. Some men do well with once a week. Others feel best at 2 to 3 times. And for some, especially those dealing with prostate issues or low energy, even once every 10-14 days can be a healthy rhythm. The key is listening to your body, not following an arbitrary number. But how do you know what's right for you? So now that you understand how important regular, measured ejaculation is for supporting prostate health, the next question becomes, how often is just right for your age? Let's break it down clearly so you can tune into your own body and avoid both neglect and overexertion. While no two men are exactly alike, clinical studies, decades of observation, and expert guidance from top urologists all point to one thing: your ideal frequency changes with age. Just like diet, exercise, and sleep, this part of your health needs to evolve with you. So, let's look at a practical framework. Here's what most men benefit from, based on age group and physical resilience. Men ages 40 to 49. In your 40s, testosterone is still flowing strong, your energy is stable, and your body usually bounces back quickly. At this stage, 3 to 4 ejaculations per week is a healthy, sustainable rhythm for most men. This frequency supports hormonal balance, encourages proper circulation, keeps the prostate clear, and helps manage emotional tension, all without pushing your system too hard. But here's the key: if you start to feel drained, mentally foggy, or unusually fatigued afterward, listen to your body. Frequency without recovery can backfire. Men ages 50 to 59. Now we enter the shift zone. In your 50s, testosterone levels begin to taper. Recovery slows a bit, and stress, inflammation, or poor sleep can affect how quickly your body bounces back. For most men in this group, 2 to 3 ejaculations per week is appropriate. That said, this is not a hard rule. If you're active, well-rested, and feel energized afterward, you might manage a bit more. But if you start noticing new urinary symptoms, pelvic tension, or dips in mood or stamina, that's your signal to ease back. In this decade, moderation becomes your best friend. Men ages 60 and over. Once you reach your 60s and beyond, the goal shifts again. It's no longer about performance. It's about maintenance, gentle, consistent care that keeps things running smoothly without stressing your body. For many men, once per week is the sweet spot. That's enough to support healthy circulation, prevent fluid buildup in the prostate, aid immune cleansing of the gland, maintain elasticity in the tissues. If your libido is still active and you feel fine afterward, twice a week is okay, but skip back-to-back days, and don't force it if your body isn't ready. Think of it like walking. Steady, intentional, and sustainable is the goal. Why consistency matters more than quantity. Here's the part many men miss. It's not the number that matters most, it's the rhythm. You see, the prostate is a biological system. Like the heart or the liver, it benefits from gentle, regular activity. Bursts of activity followed by long periods of inactivity, that's when problems can creep in, especially as you age. Going weeks or months without any ejaculation and then suddenly becoming active again can lead to congestion, swelling, or sensitivity. On the flip side, daily activity with no rest may irritate or inflame the gland. So, what's the answer? Balance and consistency. Just like you wouldn't run 5 miles one day and do nothing for the next 3 weeks, you shouldn't treat this part of your body any differently. Support it like you would any other organ. Hydration, sleep, gentle movement, balanced nutrition. And yes, measured sexual activity beyond pleasure. The bigger picture. Now let's zoom out. Why are we really talking about this? It's not just about libido or feeling young or performance. It's about keeping your prostate healthy, functionally healthy. Many men come to me saying, "Dr. Nana, all my scans and blood work are normal, but I still feel this weird pressure, this nagging discomfort down there." That's when I explain, not all dysfunction is visible. Even without structural damage, a neglected prostate can feel swollen, congested, or tight. Why? Because when ejaculation stops for too long, old fluid can build up. Circulation slows. Cellular debris isn't cleared effectively. Over time, the gland's tissues can stiffen, lose elasticity, and become more reactive even if imaging looks normal. But when you gently stimulate the prostate on a consistent basis, whether with a partner or on your own, you're helping it clear waste, improve blood flow, regulate immune activity, maintain healthy tissue tone. In short, you're doing the biological equivalent of spring cleaning. This isn't just private, it's preventive. So let's reframe this. This isn't just a personal act, it's a form of preventive care. A way of keeping one of your most vital organs in tune with the rest of your body. It's no different than stretching to avoid joint pain, or walking daily to protect your heart. Regular ejaculation, done mindfully, is a subtle but powerful tool for long-term prostate support. And when you pair it with the other pillars of men's health: nutrition, stress management, sleep, hydration, you create a foundation that keeps you strong well into your later years. Ready for the next step? Now that we've walked through the biological rhythm and ideal frequency, let's take it one step further. Because frequency alone isn't the whole story. In the next part, we'll look at the daily habits, yes, the little things you're doing every day that have a hidden impact on your prostate and hormone balance. Things like what you eat, how well you sleep, your stress levels, and the way you manage emotional tension, because as much as sexual rhythm matters, your entire lifestyle plays a critical role too. Ready to uncover those invisible drivers of prostate aging? We've talked science, hormones, biology, and real-life experience. But in the end, the biggest barrier standing between men and a healthy prostate isn't medical. It's emotional. Most men don't lack access to information. They don't need more charts, more terms, or even more stats. What they truly lack, what holds them back, is comfort. Comfort in speaking openly about topics that feel taboo. Comfort in admitting that something feels off. Comfort in acknowledging that this part of life doesn't stop at 50 or 60 or ever. We live in a world where conversations about aging, sexual health, and prostate function often get pushed into the shadows, especially for men. Somewhere along the way, maybe around midlife, a silent message starts to creep in. That chapter of your life is supposed to be over. You're expected to become quieter about your needs, to act like this part of your body doesn't matter anymore, to stop thinking about pleasure, hormones, function as if they're only for the young. And sadly, many men start to believe that message, not because they want to, but because they don't hear anyone else challenging it. They internalize it. They start keeping quiet. And as a result, they stop taking care of one of the most vital systems in the male body, the prostate. Let me say this, loud and clear: masturbating or staying sexually active after 50 is not wrong. It's not shameful. It's not something to apologize for. And it's definitely not something to hide. You don't feel guilty about brushing your teeth or going for a walk to stay in shape, right? Then why should there be shame in doing something that supports your hormonal health, clears toxins from the prostate, boosts circulation, and even strengthens immune regulation? And yet, time and time again, I meet men who are silently suffering. They've been feeling strange discomfort in their lower abdomen. They've noticed energy dips, mood swings, or interrupted sleep. Some are waking up 2 or 3 times a night to use the bathroom. Others feel a heavy pressure that they can't explain, but they stay silent. Why? Because they've been taught that asking about these things is weak, or worse, inappropriate. And this is where we go wrong. This is how symptoms get ignored. This is how discomfort turns into dysfunction. And this is how so many men lose confidence, not because their bodies are failing, but because no one ever told them they had options. Ejaculation, whether it happens with a partner or on your own, is not some guilty indulgence. It's a core part of how your male body functions. In fact, once men begin to view this practice not as something juvenile or awkward, but as a normal, health-supporting routine, things start to shift. I've seen it again and again. Men become more proactive. They start tuning into their bodies more closely. They begin taking charge not just of their prostate, but of their overall well-being. And perhaps most importantly, they stop feeling like they need to explain or justify their health needs to anyone else. There's a quiet strength in that, a confidence that doesn't have to shout, a sense of dignity that comes from knowing your body and listening to it. That's what I want for you. What I hope you carry from this video isn't just a number. It's not do this 2 times a week or once every 10 days. It's something deeper. It's awareness. Awareness that your prostate needs regular care just like your heart, your joints, or your muscles. Awareness that discomfort doesn't mean you're weak. It means your body is asking for support. Awareness that just because something is private doesn't mean it should be ignored. Because when you care for your body consistently, intentionally, and without shame, you don't just stay healthier, you stay free. Free from fear. Free from confusion. Free from the burden of silence that has weighed down too many men for too long. So here's what I'd love for you to do next. If you've made it this far, take just a minute and leave a comment below. Let me know, what age group you're in, what you've struggled with or wondered about when it comes to prostate health, what you'd like us to cover in future videos. This Space Senior Health Boost is built on respect. No judgment. No nonsense. Just open, real conversation. Whether you're 45 or 85, your story matters. And when you share it, you help others feel seen. You help them speak up. You help normalize the conversations we should have been having all along. And if you found this video helpful even in a small way, go ahead and click that like button. It may seem simple, but it lets us know these honest, deep dive discussions are reaching the right people. And finally, if you haven't already, subscribe to Senior Health Boost and turn on the bell for notifications. Because this is just the beginning. In our upcoming videos, we'll explore powerful new tools for men's health, including how to naturally balance testosterone as you age, sleep optimization for deep nightly recovery, strengthening your pelvic floor to improve bladder and sexual health, nutrition habits that protect against prostate enlargement and inflammation, and so much more. We're building something rare here, a space for men who want to age with clarity, vitality, and strength without fluff, without shame, and without being ignored. You're not just here to get by as you get older. You're here to thrive. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this all the way through. And thank you for choosing to take care of yourself, not just for your sake, but for those who count on you. Because healthy aging isn't just about surviving the years, it's about living them fully, with purpose and power. I'm Dr. Nana, and this is Senior Health Boost. Stay strong, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.